Hey everyone, so today I have another Whip It episode for you. This is episode 11, and today we have some finished objects, we have some works in progress, whips, and a lot of shopping again. So, and then I have a little bit of blather at the end. So let's go ahead and get into the finished projects. So I found two. I've been doing a lot of cleaning lately, a lot of random cleaning around the house, and so I found two more of the baby hats that were covered in hair. I still need to sew in some ends, but otherwise these are done. So yeah, those are two. These are crocheted baby hats. I have quite a few of those in the works. Another thing I have done are these guys. Yay! These are my very first socks for the year. They're crocheted as well. They're little ankle socks. The heels are a different color. There's not much of a different color, but they are in fact a different color. That's just some leftover yarn I have from another skein where I crocheted socks. And so yeah, this is my first pair for my box of socks cowl with Voolenvine, Kristen of Voolenvine. And she's got that year-long project going on. And it's on Ravelry, which, by the way, I am on Ravelry. I am Crafty Cassie there. You can go and check me out. The only thing I have in my projects queued right now is what I'm holding in my hand right now. This isn't completely done either. I still have some threads to sew in. But this is finally finished. So before, I pulled this off the needles a couple of weeks ago, and it was all bunched up on the bind off. So I did some thinking, and what it was is I noticed that my bind off is much tighter than my knitting, and so what I needed was a looser bind off. And in reality I needed an extra stitch. So what I did is I knit two together, and then I would slip the one stitch back on to my working needle, and I would knit one into that stitch, so that would give me that jump I needed to be able to reach it over to the next stitch. And there's no gaps, like there's no gaps at all, so that's awesome to see. So it's just a triangular scarf. I just made it so that it will wrap around. Clearly I don't put these on very often. I don't wear a whole lot of triangular scarves and whatnot. So this was my very first one. It is from my friend. It's meant to help her because she kind of has a large bust, and it's really cold here. It's like cold and murky, and so I thought that she could use kind of a really nice soft shawl. So yeah, I really liked how this turned out. It's got yarn over increases with the spining, with a knit spine down the center. I love it. And it's got these little lacy details. So yeah, this was actually a lot of fun. It doesn't seem that big when I'm looking at it, holding it. I know if I get off my thread. If I were to block it, it would be huge or much bigger, because I do have such a loose stitch. There's a lot of give in this, even though it's acrylic. But this could grow a good third, like increase a third of its size. So part of me wants to do that, but I don't have the mats to block. I think that was like the only thing on my to-buy list that I didn't get this month, or this paycheck, so it needs to be placed on my to-buy list, but neither here nor there. I need to get blocking mats is what I'm telling myself, and I think this is going to be okay for her to not have it blocked. I meant the whole reason why I also unbound, took the bind out off, was because I wanted to add several rows. I added so I did a half of a repeat of this block here. I did a lacy bit, and then this rows here, and I think that was just 3 or 4 rows of the regular stitch. So I probably could have done the full 7 and still would have had, like, probably would have been a lot better as far as length goes, but it was getting really big on my knitting needles and I couldn't hold it anymore, and I don't have an extra line that is longer than 24 inches on my interchangeables, so I took it off. So anyways, now I have this completed project, and you're thinking, what the heck is this little ball in your hand, Cassie? It looks like plastic. It is. So I'm gonna crinkle. This is an empty plastic bag from shopping, more specifically from Hobby Lobby. This is a bag of yarn. So I crochet with it just in this, like, thicker thread. I don't necessarily need to spin it, though I was seeing a woman spin with it and making a really, 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 really fine thread with it. And then she was crocheting and knitting and things with it with that really fine, and it was like lace weight and crochet thread weight, and it was beautiful what she was doing with it. And it was just a way of recycling very naturally. So because people were able to use it in products around their home, like making baskets and bags and things that they could actually use, and then because plastic requires so many extra chemicals to melt the plastic down and make it reusable, it's not really good for the environment either way. So because of that, because turning this into thread and yarn and stuff like that doesn't require all that extra chemicals, it's actually way safer for the environment, and it gets it out of the garbage dumps and stuff like that. So I actually use these to make market bags, and I'm actually going to be making a few and giving them to my mother-in-law because I know she likes that kind of thing. I need to figure out a pattern that's a little bit more sturdier, so it doesn't require, like, well, I mean, if I doubled up my thread, my plastic thread, I think I could make seamed joints sturdier. That's been my issue, is that I would sew on, like, handles onto the bag, and it would just, that seam would rip because it's just not as strong. So I've been saving some plastic bags. I am going to do a tutorial on how to cut plastic bags and turn it into yarn. There are a few on YouTube that I found, but I had to watch like 4 different videos to finally totally understand how to do it. I have a knit bag somewhere in my room that has a lot of bags that I've already cut up and the start of one, and I think I ripped it all out. So I want to find a pattern, probably in Ravelry, that will, excuse me, clearly I need more coffee in my life. I got peppermint mocha creamer in this. I love peppermint mocha, and it's sad that nobody around here carries it year-round where I live. My parents can get it year-round. I, unfortunately, cannot. So, I enjoy it while I can. And there's not really a whole lot of the seasonal flavors that I like. I've tried Irish creamer. I don't mind French vanilla. Hazelnut, no. I only like hazelnut and chocolate, so yeah, I don't like it in my coffee. Even though the nutty flavors kind of should lend themselves together, they don't. So, anyways, coffee's just, it's Starbucks. I don't know, I've had it forever. I know they don't sell it anymore, so I'm just trying to use it. And then I have a big can that I bought at the Asian market. It was like $6 for the monstrous can, so I was like, why not? It's coffee. It's gonna keep me awake-ish, so. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and go on to the whips, which is what this podcast is all about. Alright, so last podcast, I'd shown you guys that I had done just the arms and the legs of my crocheted Enderman for Minecraft. And then I had a bunch of pieces. This week, I have a stuffed body, which needs to be sewn onto a head. But now, I also have a head sewn together. I need to stuff it and then sew up this back seam here, but I've gotten a lot done. Got the eyes on, so then I will sew the head onto the bottom of the body, or to the top of the body, and then I will sew the limbs on. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm actually getting somewhere with this. It's great to see progress. I haven't really touched this in the last like 3 days, so I might do that later tonight. I have some errands I need to run today, so I don't know how early I'll get to it or how much I'll get done, but definitely gonna try and work on that. So I has this guy, which I don't know if I showed you guys this before. I think I might have in the last episode. But this is my very first knit sock. This is cuffed down using Lorna's Laces Red Stripe. I believe it's one of the colorways from 2012. I've had this in my stash for a very long time, and I don't mind it. It's not my favorite. I'm not going to save it for anything fancy, but I was never going to save it for anything fancy. I bought it specifically to make socks, and I never got around to it. So now I am. I'm really close. I'm about a ½ inch of leg before I need to start doing the heel turn, and I'm really nervous for that. Again, this is my very first pair of socks. I am using a 1x1 ribbing for the cuff, and then just some plain stockinette. My stitches aren't perfect. They're never going to be, especially since I am such a loose knitter, so I'm constantly having, like, every couple rows having to tighten my stitches. And that's been a little bit, slowing my process down. By the way, I am knitting while I'm talking about this. But I think I've become happier now that I go back and tighten a few of these. I tighten rows of stitches for the reason that I have a more consistent stitch then. I have a more consistent gauge, I think is the correct term, and it's just, I know part of it has to do with the fact that my tension is loose, and I'm generally a loose, have loose tension because of my crocheting. So yeah. The pattern that I'm using is Voolenvine's Vanilla Sock pattern. It is free on Ravelry. You can find her there, Voolenvine, or under the name Voolenvine, which is WOOLENWINE. German, the V and W were pronounced differently, so and I know this for a fact because I've heard it. My dad's actually from Germany, so he used to, you know, call the vacuum the vacuum. It always made us chuckle. Every once in a while he'll revert, but now he pretty much exclusively thinks in English, which is a whole nother topic about thinking in a certain language. He now has to translate his English into German. But yes, that's why it's, when I say Woolenvine, it's the W's instead of the V's. So, she also has her own yarn line, and I really, really want to get some of her hand-dyed yarns because she has been the one she's been my white rabbit, basically. She likes to say she's fallen down that rabbit hole. Well, for me, she is my white rabbit, and I've followed her down the rabbit hole. So thank you, Kristen. Thank you for telling me I am late for a very important date in the fiber community. So, I need to. I hope I can get up on her. She's doing this monthly thing where she's doing exclusive dyes for her for yarn clubs, and I hope I can get some. I doubt I can because I bought a lot of stuff and didn't set aside the money to sign up for that. So, and I doubt there's going to be any left over when I come to be like, must buy it now, because I think she said she's going to have like 30 boxes, and then she was going to have like 5 or 6 exclusive full skein boxes with 3 skeins of the hand-dyed yarn for that month. Part of me wishes I lived on the East Coast so I could help her, like, just so she could have some extra hands to help her put together her skeins and stuff, but that kind of loses the... It does and it doesn't, because I'll explain one of my yarn brands that I really like, and they have more than one dyer for the company, so... Oh, another project. I almost forgot about this one. So, this is my last project, and... Too much threads. Get off. Ugh. Anyways, so this little circular guy, is the beginning of a baby hat, another one. I do turn these in to the local hospitals in bursts of 25, which takes me about, I claim only 2 hours worth of work on each baby hat, but quite honestly it's probably closer to 4. But yeah, I turn these into the local hospital. My company I work for is very big into community service, and so I get signed copies of everything that I do as far as community service by the person who I'm either doing the work for, or when I drop off baby hats to the local hospitals, I have one of the nurse or even the volunteer services lady, manager in my local hospital. She signs the paperwork verifying that I turned in these hats, and it actually goes on my eval, and so let's see here. I put in for the award for community service, and I'm sitting at like almost 400 hours for that award. So, and I haven't done anything for this eval, so I kind of need to hurry up, because not only does this help the world, it helps me too. So, and that's kind of, I don't know, I feel like that's selfish. Please tell me that's not selfish to think about that I'm not just doing this for my eval. Like, I donated this kind of stuff beforehand, trust me. When my grandmother was going to the local cancer center for her treatments, I donated hats to that hospital all the time. I think I donated like 400 hats that year, or that year and a half alone. I crocheted a blanket and raffled it off, and all the money went to a local charity. So I need to change my battery. It is more than flashing on me, and so I'm going to do that real quick and we'll be right back. Alright, so we're back for a little bit. I hope that I can get the rest of this done. So I showed you all of my whips and I've showed you all of my finished objects. Let's go ahead and get into my pocketbook is now crying segment because I shop way too much. I'm going to start with the mini skeins that I bought, which are these guys. Aren't they pretty? Ugh. These are unicorn tails, right? Yes, unicorn tails. The purple one here is Purple Basil, and they are by Madeline. Let me see if I can hold that up right. Madeline Tosh. And then I got another one in Mandala. Now, I almost bought Purple Basil in a full skein. I absolutely love it, and I keep getting drawn to it. For whatever reason, these unicorn tails seem to be a lot darker than the actual full skein. The skein seems to be brighter purple. But I love the mandala, and I think it really complements Purple Basil because there are little bits of purple in it. So I think those two complement each other perfectly. And then I got this guy. And I want to get a pink one of those unicorn tails, but I think I'm going to use this colorway, which is Tenant by Munos de Uruguay in their Allegra base, which is 75% superwash merino and 25% polyamide, which is nylon. And I think I'm going to use these plus plus the antique linen, and I got another unicorn tail, and I can't remember what color I got. I want to say it's a pink color. It might be a pink color. I can't remember. I'd have to pull it all out. And I think I'm gonna attempt a Stephen West pattern, which I hear is very daunting. And for a new knitter, let's do this. Let's just take my skills from beginner to advance in one project. Yeah? No? Probably not? I want to. So that's what this is reserved for, is for a doodler shawl. So the next one I got, and I couldn't decide between this colorway or their spring colorway, and the reason I ended up going with this one was because I needed more sock yarn so I can make more socks, and I don't want to use the pretty spring colorway, though I really kind of want socks in those colorways because they were like really bright pastel, like Easter colors. They were blue, greens, pinks, and a little bit of purples on a white base. So I might get it. There were some other colorways that I kept grabbing. I really do like this yarn. It's super squishy. Like, super squishy. And this is more along the lines of the size that I used for these socks. This was a sport weight by Lorna's Laces, and this is supposedly their fingerling weight. And this is in the colorway Fuego. And it's their Allegra base. And in all of the insides, I don't have my other skein to show you, but it tells you the location of where it was dyed and who dyed it, like the artist that dyed it. So my guess is they have basic colorways and, you know, how to do the colorway, and then the artist dyes it up to those specifications. So yes, there is going to be there's going to be variance within the colorway, but that happens when you have the same artist dyeing the same yarn, which I want to start doing. Another rabbit hole that I have been attempting to stumble under, or stumble into, I should say. Not under, you can't stumble under a rabbit hole. Well, I guess you could, but whatever. Anyways, so that's that guy, and this is 445 yards, which is 100 grams. This is these two make 3 skeins of this yarn, and I really love it. I love how squishy this is. I had a third skein in my bag of this yarn, and I decided I didn't want to spend close to $75 on 3 skeins of yarn. And then I got this guy, which put me at the $60 to $70 mark anyways, but anyways, not the point. Point is, this is 100 grams, 75% alpaca, 25% polyamide nylon. The color is 2009, and this is by Juniper Moon Farms Harriet Fine. It's their baby alpaca blended with nylon for durability. So, and I asked the boyfriend via Skype, because he's still overseas, what color he wanted if I made him a hat, and he said forest green. So this was the one I chose because it is so soft and squishy too. Like, it's super squishy. So I'm excited to work with this. I have not cast it on yet. It's probably going to be a minute before I do cast it on, just because of it's starting to get warm here, even though it's warmer where my boyfriend is. Kinda. It's like 60s, mid to low 60s where he's at right now, and it's like low to mid 50s, and it's not supposed to get above 55 all this week. So, and he's coming home soon, which I will talk about in blather. Recently, in my last episode, I talked about making some project bags, but I didn't have any zippers in the right length. So I picked up 4 zippers, so white, black, pink, and red, to go with the the main colors of some of the fabric I've been buying. I also found a bunch of fabric back in my room, and I need to get some cream, because the Walmart I went to didn't have any of the 9-inch zippers in cream, so I need to get some of those, and I need to get some gray. And I think I have just about every bag I would ever want to make have a zipper that will go with them. So, got zippers, now I need to make me some project bags. Yeah. Next, I went to Hobby Lobby, and I got some more sock yarn. These are 50-gram balls, so one ball per sock, basically, and I got 2 colorways. There's fuzzies. No fuzzy. Alright, so the first colorway I have here is this guy, and this is Premier Yarns Wool Free Sock. This is 235 yards, and it is 93% acrylic and 7% PBT, which I'm guessing is a nylon. Sock pattern on back. I've labeled 2 balls of wool free sock for 1 pair of adult socks. This is a fine, so it's a fingerling. There's the fuzzy I thought it pulled off. So I really liked the patterns, or the coloring of this. Makes me think of like Native Americans, which I live in the Pacific Northwest, which is very heavily influenced by the Native American tribes here. And actually, I have a tribe right by where I live, and I have to drive by and kind of through their land to get from the island that I live on onto the mainland. So, and this is in the colorway Grand Canyon. So it's got little bursts of color, but at the same time it's just got a lot of muted, not really muted, but very natural earth tones. So I got 2 of those, and then I got 2 of these. You see a theme? I love actually teal is my favorite color, but turquoise and aqua are in that same color family, so yeah, I got these two balls, and these are Red Heart, Heart and Soul. It's their sock yarn. They call this a number 1, a superfine, and it is 73% wool and 27% nylon. Which, quite honestly, being held up to the ball that I just got at the wool-free sock yarn from Premier Yarns, they're roughly the same thickness, so I don't understand. And this this colorway is Lake House. So we do have a lot of canyons here on the east side of Washington State, so I got a lot of Washington-esque kind of colorways. So there's a lot of teals and purples, some neutrals in there. So yeah, I really like these. And then we have Lake Sammamish, which is about an hour north of where I'm at. So there's a lot of lake houses there. So yeah. And I got 2 balls of those. More socks. More socks. Need to knit faster. Because that sock I showed you earlier was my first of those knitted socks. Then I got more of this dyeable cotton yarn. And I haven't dyed up any of the other 3 skeins that I've bought, but I thought, hey, now I can make, you know, a couple of different colorways rather than just one colorway. So I got another one of these to play with, which I need to do. I also got some tidy pins. They're just kind of like U-shaped pins. They're used to block knitted items. No, they're not. They're used to hold slip covers, arm covers, and bed covers in place. That's not what I'm going to use them for. I'm going to use these as pinning, blocking pins, so I might, I forgot I had bought those, so I might try blocking on the bed there. And then I got this guy. Not my boyfriend, and it's not his face, but I got a male styrofoam head. This is the only one that wasn't chomped on. No, there was one other that wasn't chomped on. It looked like most of the male heads a baby had grabbed and decided to nom on the nose and cheek area. Yeah. So, got that guy. And then to go with the Mr. Head, I got a Mrs. Head. So, yes, these are for blocking hats, in case you didn't know, or to display hats when I take pictures. And this one got attacked by a little kid's hand. Gosh dang it. I thought I grabbed 2 good heads. Anywho, I also picked up more dye. And this is just their regular liquid dye. And I got the colors in purple, tan, fuchsia, oh, that's not one, navy blue, and scarlet. So I can start dyeing on those. It does have directions for dyeing in cotton yarn. So now I have the ones which have more pigments to them, and then I have the regular ones now too, so I can intermix them. Another thing I picked up was this Studio Pro Safety Flux, or copper foil. I've been looking for flux. I really want to start soldering, making miniatures out of metal and stuff like that, but I hadn't had any flux, so I have my solder iron and I have my solder. I just need flux, so now I have that, so now I get to start playing. I just have to find a way to apply it, I guess. And I guess I could use an empty nail polish bottle because it can handle corrosive materials like that. But anyways, I have one more thing to show you guys, and I'm just going to show you a couple of them. I'm not going to show it all. So then I went to Walmart and I got these, just some plastic condiment bottles and some all-purpose labels. And the reason I got these is so that I can label what color of dye I have in each of these bottles. So I do have gloves and everything like that. I don't have a mask yet. That is on my list. But I don't think I need a mask because I can't really smell anything with this dye. If I was doing acid dyes, I definitely would wear a mask. But for just playing with RIT dye, it's safe or safer. So I'm going to use this to apply the dye, and this, in case there's extra dye, I can label what color it is so I don't end up mixing my dyes in a bottle and get baby poo browns. So, yeah. Blather. Boyfriend comes home in 19 days. I am counting down. He's kind of counting down, but I can't guarantee that in 2 weeks from now or 2.5 weeks from now that there will be a video recorded, because that weekend we're kind of made plans. So, and I record these videos on the weekend and then post on Wednesdays. So if there's a week without a video, I'm sorry. There was a week a couple of weeks ago where there wasn't a video. I had it recorded. I just didn't finish the editing on time, and I'd had a super horrible week, so I didn't record anything that week. I didn't post anything that week. I just physically could not bring myself to sit in front of the computer long enough to edit all those videos, because I post 3 videos a week. In case you didn't know, I have 2 other channels. I have a beauty channel and a vlog channel, but the vlog channel is my dump all video channel. Oh my goodness. I need more coffee. I'm running out of breath and my mouth is getting dry. So, yeah. Work's been really stressful lately. Super stressful. We've had orders and not enough gear to fill those orders, and I don't work on the gear. I can work. I know how to work. I know how to fix the gear for 2 different groups of our gear. I'm still learning on one of those 2, and I'm trying really hard to finish up my qualifications on them, and I keep getting in arguments with my supervisor, who isn't really a supervisor, but we won't go into that because that's part of the argument, is the fact that she's not a real supervisor. Oh. Anyways. So, work's stressful, so if there is no videos, that is why I'm having some bad days, and it's taking all the strength I can just to be able to knit or crochet. That's why it seems like I've gotten a lot done, because I've just been like forcing my emotions out by turning negatives into positives. So that's how I deal with stress, is I try to make positives out of the negative feelings. But yeah, I think that's about everything I have to say, and my second battery is about to die again. Or is about to die, not again, but it's about to die. So, I think I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to check out my other channels, and visit me on Ravelry if you can. And if you have any comments or questions, leave them down below and I will get to them. So until next time, guys.